Good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to join us in today's session, proudly brought to you by Baby and Mom Club, Apta Advantage, and as well as WeLoveSupermom. My name is Kelly, and we're very excited to share with you, all of you today, on various insights and expert tips to help you achieve a healthy pregnancy and happy baby. And to help us do that, we have two expert speakers here with us today. Firstly, we have Dr. Dr. Koo Chong Kiat here, who is Senior Consultant Obstetrician as well as Gynecologist over at Mount E Novena Hospital. So you might know Dr. Koo is very popular. He's known as the gynae who has delivered the most numbers of babies from 2016 to 2018. So his record is 700 babies in a year. That is a record-breaking number there. So, of course, he's very experienced. And prior to private practice, Dr. Koo served 20 years of public service with the Minimally Invasive Surgery Unit at KK Women's and Children's Hospital and was awarded several Gold Service Star Awards for his service. He's currently serving as the Vice Secretary General of the APAC Association for Gynecologic Endoscopic Surgeons and was also the inaugural core faculty member of the Singhal Obstetrics as well as Gynecology Academic Clinical Program. So, thank you for joining us, Dr. Koo.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you for bringing us all together. Me and Amy will answer all your questions.
As much as possible, yes, within that 1 hour. We also have, of course, right next to Dr. Koo is Dr. Amy Wang. She's a specialist in pediatric medicine and consultant over at Raffles Children's Centre. Dr. Wang is an accredited pediatrician as well as a member of the Royal College of Pediatrics and Child Health, United Kingdom. She received her MBSS and the Master of Medicine Pediatric Medicine from the National University of Singapore, where she was awarded the Dean's List from 2009 to 2012. So her area of practice includes general ambulatory pediatrics, including a wide range of common childhood conditions such as acute infections, growth, developmental concerns, and sleep issues, which is something that we're all very concerned with, I'm sure. She's experienced in developmental assessments as well as vaccination. So hi, Dr. Wang, thank you for joining us today. So over the next 1 hour, we hope to be able to address the concerns of many of new mummies and daddies like myself. Just to let all of you know, we are all parents here. The youngest child of Dr. Koo is 18 months.
18 months.
Yes, youngest child of Dr. Wang is 14 months.
17 months, and I have a 5-month-old baby myself. So we are trying to figure this thing out all together. So not to worry for new mummies and daddies and parents to be as well. We're all in this together to address as many of your questions as possible. So I'm sure many of us roughly know what to expect given the amount of research and information on the internet these days. But today, let's try and find out more and go down to the specifics on what we should and should not eat during our pregnancy, whether or not we are doing enough for our child, whether we're eating enough for our developing fetus as well. So in the last few days, what the Supermom team has done is they've collated all the questions submitted to their social media community groups, as well as moms-to-be and parents-to-be like yourself, to answer them here today. And some of the common questions, the most burning questions that many of you want to ask, including eating right during pregnancy. How much is enough for two? Other than that, we also have allergies. Allergies is a big topic that many of you have asked as well. And does what you eat affect your baby during the developing stage and thereafter? To what extent does it? And how do we give our child the best chance against all the nasties and to boost their immunity? And of course, very importantly, how to get baby to sleep. So I see that online we have about more than 100 people already. Many Dr. Koo's fans over here. I can see all of them saying hello to Doctor. You see, Valerie says, my favorite gynae. Sharon says, hello, Dr. Koo. Serene also says, hello, Doc. So yeah, many of you saying hello to both our doctors here. Thank you all so much for your support. So before we start, please do like and share this stream with on Facebook with family and friends so that more of you can benefit from today's session. And besides that, you can also take part in our giveaway when you like and share this stream. All right. For our giveaway today, we are giving away $700 worth of goodies, including a little Wiwa playmat, a Ninja Foodie multi-cooker, as well as a Sarah Wells diaper bag. So besides that, we also want to know that Supermom is very generous, giving away a number of freebies to all our pregnant parents, as well as parents with toddlers aged 0 to 2 years old. So you can see on your screen right now, there should be a QR code. So make sure you scan the QR code and register for the freebies to be delivered to you, all right? So I see some questions coming in already. Not to worry, we'll try to address the questions later on as well. So for mommies and daddies who have just joined us, thank you once again. My name is Kelly. We are live here, coming to you on Supermom, specially brought to you by Club After Advantage. And here we have Dr. Koo Chong Tiet as well as Dr. Amy Wang to share with us how to have a healthy pregnancy and happy baby. So Dr. Koo, I'm going to start with you, all right? So right from my pregnancy stage or even my mummy's group, right, they really shared with us like the first 1,000 days from the time that the fetus is in our tummy is already the key part whereby the development stages of the child is very significantly growing from the time that they're conceived to the point whereby they are 24 months old. It's a period of time whereby the brain, the body, and immune system of our child is growing very rapidly as well as significantly. All right. So we also know that for pregnant mummies, our health, our nutrition, and stress levels can have an effect on the future of our child. I think that's why we see in Singapore, we have like this benchmark, but in other countries, developing countries versus developed countries, the environment, the stress levels, access to nutrition, they do make a big difference in our offspring. So perhaps Dr. Koo, you can share with us first, what are the very, very key essential nutrition that pregnant mom should have to ensure as much as possible a healthy pregnancy?
So very typically in my practice, I'll remind all mothers that the first 3 months of the pregnancy, known as the first trimester, probably the one and only singular nutrient that's most important will be folic acid. So it's known as folate in several places, and folic acid is just a vitamin B, but it's crucial in developing the baby's brain and the spinal cord development in the first 12 weeks of pregnancy, the first 3 months. So generally all mothers who come in pregnant and they are seeing me, I'll remind them again, are you taking folic acid? Just a small dose will do, something like 400 micrograms and above. But in Singapore, typically the tablets exist like 5 milligrams tablet. So they will just swallow one a day and that's enough. So the nutrients necessary for the first 3 months will be most essentially just folic acid. Everything else is a bonus because in the first 3 months, I'm sure most mummies will realize their appetite is not so good. They can't really eat as much as they wish they could. So even if you provide them with lots of tablets, supplements, and things like that, they can't really swallow them all. In fact, a lot of them go through vomiting bouts. So I guess the small little tiny folic acid is still very necessary. And if we can, take it a single tablet a day would be sufficient. If moms who really cannot even swallow just at one single folic acid, I would suggest a simple good diet of maybe some green vegetables. Even our bread, if you manage to swallow a few slices, will contain some, by regulation, some folic acid inside. So these are some of the sources of folate that can come in the first 3 months. After the first 3 months, right, then becomes a 3 essential thing. I'll put it down as essentially vitamins for general health, including a little bit of increased iron to take care of their anemic needs. Because in pregnancy, your blood will be diluted generally by the baby. And so with a little bit extra iron and vitamins, they'll provide you with oxygen carrying capacity that's better, and they'll do better and not be so pale. The second one is calcium. Calcium will be necessary for bone growth of the baby, skeletal development. If you don't take enough, you'll find that very quickly the baby will suck the nutrients from your small muscles. And in a short while, mummies may have cramps in the calves at night when they sleep. So calcium is very necessary. Additional a little bit of calcium in the diet will be good. If not, then take a calcium tablet a day or two. Third one will be the most favorite topic in all Singapore parents. They would like to know whether is DHA important. So DHA will help in brain development, and a lot of mummies believe strongly that taking DHA will make them have a better, cleverer, smarter baby. So I'll say these are the 3 important nutrients that you should have: vitamins, calcium, and DHA, all the way from 12 weeks to delivery day.
And then iron as well.
And then iron.
Yes, well, so these are folic acid, but usually from what my gynae told me was that you can actually have it throughout the pregnancy. It's fine as well.
Yes. So I guess the most important nutrient would be really just these few items. Anything else is actually a bonus. But if you talk about nutrition side, I guess a well-balanced diet will include generally what you love to eat and not something that you are being forced to eat, because it won't sustain you throughout the entire time of the pregnancy.
All right. So ideally, like one of our viewers have asked, does it mean that you need to take it all the way? Ideally, yes, right? There's no harm in taking them all the way, actually. There's no harm at all, right?
No harm at all. So most mummies take it even to delivery day, and some of them even continue on a little bit further beyond delivery day to add into their breast milk so that they can actually get better nutrients for a breastfed baby.
Yeah. In fact, I've also heard that if you are trying for a baby now, you can already start taking folic acid as well.
Yes, certainly. So folic acid is known as peri-conception vitamins. So you will like to take it before pregnancy if you are conscious of it. So people who are preparing for pregnancy, I always suggest to them taking folic acid perhaps once every few days or maybe once a week will be sufficient.
It's also a good to have.
Yes.
I see. So during pregnancy, I also remember myself and a lot of my mummies also shared that you suddenly will eat things that you never used to eat, or suddenly you will just hate the things that you used to love to eat. So all these cravings and sudden urges or sudden, change in appetite, is it stimulated by the mom or the fetus, or what causes them, and are they to be controlled?
Food cravings are a very interesting topic. So if you think of it, right, actually, essentially, it's the mom's cravings. It's very unlikely to be the baby's cravings. But a lot of moms emotionally know how to use that to great effect. They simply just tell their husbands, I need to eat this, please get it for me. Oh gosh, the husband had to run all over Singapore to find the most favorite item for the wife. And you find that the taste buds change so much in the first 12 weeks that most moms are surprised by that. So items that you used to not like, you actually find that you are craving for them. And yet something that you used to be able to take so well, you suddenly have adversity for it. You find it so weird to smell. So these are some of the famous changes in pregnancy in the first 3 months. And particularly when you're not eating too well already, you find that something you love, right, you actually will hate towards it very often just to keep yourself full and nutrition. So I would find that at that time, right, a lot of moms crave for things like sourish or something that they feel that's good for them, they enjoy a lot, they will have big time cravings for it. I'll say give in to it because it's something that's important. You do need enough calories, enough intake, enough fluids to feel well. So I guess generally it's important to give in to your cravings. It's usually from the mom side, so it's not from the baby side.
So the other thing that one of the questions that the moms also have asked is that, is there such thing as too much? And how is it correct that pregnant mummies should be eating for two? Because like for the vitamins and shit, right? We mentioned that you can eat them throughout. So is there such thing as having excessive vitamins or excessive you eat too well? Is it possible for such things to happen?
Unlikely. So generally, nutritions are generally calculated in the sense that it's just sufficient for the moms. I do have some interesting moms who turn out my clinic and say, oh, doc, whatever sort of DHA you have, right, just sell me all your brands, I'll buy them all. They think that the kid will go to Super IQ gifted stream, but it's not necessarily true. So it doesn't mean that increased amounts of nutrition in certain vitamins will help you in certain ways. I would say sufficient is enough. So generally, most calculated preparations in the commercial ones, the clinics we have them, will be sufficient for most mothers already. There's no need to take increased amount thinking that will help you excessively. Not.
So if let's say the moms do take more than usually I remember we only take one multivitamin pill, but let's say you take two, or it doesn't harm you.
Because majority of your vitamins are passed out from your body. It's also water soluble, majority of them. So they do not store yourself in the body stores by too much. So there's not much worries about toxicity. You're worried about in that sense, whether the nutrients are too much. No, it's not.
Okay, I also see quite a number of questions coming in regarding healthy weight gain. What is the healthy weight range? I think it depends on the mummy's original weight to begin with, right? It is not a fixed number at all, right?
One of the favorite questions is how much weight do I need to gain?
Yes.
I generally tell them it's about between 10 to 15 kilos.
Throughout the entire,
range, yes.
Okay.
And a good guide will be about the first 3 months, you'll be static, or you actually might lose weight because of your poor appetite. But subsequently, from 3rd month onward, I expect them to put on about an average 2 kilos every month, particularly towards the back end. But not too much, because of my job, right, is to do a good delivery. It's not to have a very big baby. So I always watch the nutrients or the amount of diet you take by the growth of the baby. If the baby's getting a bit too small, and it's not because of other medical diseases like high blood pressure, I will start to encourage the mother to eat a little bit more. But if the baby is giant size, that's when I start to cut down whatever cravings they have or some additional unnecessary food they need. For some favorite not to go to this, and I'll tell them into that.
Okay. So when in doubt, always consult your gynae. I'm sure they'll be able to best advise you based on your personal condition as well. So I'm just gonna take in 2 more questions here, all right, so that we can move on to our next key questions that we got from our social media groups or community groups over here. So another common questions that I see is that, is it okay, right, to take supplements like protein shakes, nutritional shakes? Is it all right to take them? Because I think another thing that you want to take note is before I eat anything in pregnancy, I will look at the label. If it says, is it safe for pregnant moms? But if they don't say anything, is it okay to still take them?
Generally, it's sufficient for mothers to take them in a very safe manner, because anything that is not safe, right, generally in Singapore's pharmacy or nutrition shops, you wouldn't have access to them. I always tell mummies that, let's say, for example, if you have probiotics, or if you have some sort of supplements which you're not sure about. And as long as they can be sold on the shelves of Singapore's shops, drugstores, or pharmacy, they are generally pregnancy safe. So I don't think there should be a worry about it at all. Because if there was, there would be warning labels, very bright red, I'm sure, or yellow that says, careful, pregnant women stay away from this.
Yeah, or breastfeeding. Not advice for pregnant and breastfeeding moms
Very
as well.
unlikely to have such things.
Okay, one more question here is, this is a really interesting question that I didn't think of it. It's mentioned that, if we vomit after eating the food that we crave, right? Does that mean that there's something of the food, or does that mean that baby don't like, mommy like? Got such thing?
Not at all, not at all. So actually in vomiting the first 3 months of pregnancy is very scientific. It's actually related to your levels of hormones that you have in your bloodstream, particularly created by the water bag sac of the pregnancy. So when you have very high levels of something called beta-HCG or something like that, you will find that your vomiting is extra severe. In my most frequent few cases that I've seen, there are mothers who lose like 5 kilos, 7 kilos, or 10 kilos. They look very, very skinny.
In the
And
first few
they
months.
can't even take a drop of water or food, and they have to be watered in hospital for drips. So these are some of the very drastic cases. And if you are going to head towards that direction, your obstetrician should be the one who helps you out with some sort of medications. They control the vomiting sensations and help you take in at least a little bit of fluids, getting by the day so that you don't lose too much weight.
Another thing, talking about passing on nutrition to our kids and our babies, right? Is it possible that our allergies, our adverse appetites towards certain things are also passed on from mother to baby as well during the pregnancy stage, Dr. Koo?
This is a very interesting worries of a lot of moms, because they feel that if they're allergic to something, they will pass on to the babies. But it's been shown that food allergies, I think if I'm not wrong, are not very conclusively proven to have passed down in generations. But this is an area that I try not to go into because it's a domain, an expert domain of my fellow co-speaker here, Dr. Amy. In fact, in a very short while, I'll try to pass the mic to her to let her explain this area, which is very well versed about. But on my part, right, I'll try to reassure the mothers that food allergies don't usually pass down to the babies, and they should not worry about what they eat that will affect the baby. Rather, they should try to eat things that would help their pregnancy get better, bigger, and give better nutrients to the baby itself.
So as long as it's a balanced diet, you follow the advice of a gynecologist or your obstetrician, you should be on the safe side. If there are warning signs that you should look out for, your gynecologist or your obstetrician would have told you on these key factors already. So just make sure you are consistent and you monitor how you are feeling throughout the entire pregnancy. If you feel that anything is wrong, doesn't feel right, please go and see the doctor immediately. All right. With that, we're going to move on to the allergies part. All right. So we're going to pass on the mic over to Dr. Wang. Thank you, Dr. Wang, for joining us. So right now, all right, so we're going to talk about allergies, which was a big topic in our social media community groups, from our Supermom community Telegram groups and WhatsApp groups. So the question is that what are some of the common allergies that babies or young children usually face from birth? And like what I asked Dr. Koo is, when can you discover these allergies, and possible to pass from mom to baby at all?
Thank you so much for having me here today. So with regards to allergies, the common ones will be that of cow's milk allergy, egg allergy, even peanuts, tree nuts, soy, seafood as well. And usually the cow's milk allergy as well as egg allergy will be outgrown within childhood. But as for example, tree nuts and peanuts are more likely to persist in adulthood. As for whether or not genetics plays a part, currently it's not very clear. There's no good evidence that there's a direct correlation. But that said, if a parent say has a certain food allergy or a certain allergic condition, the child is at probably at a higher risk of having a similar condition, but it's not definite. So the child could have a totally different allergy or even none at all.
Oh, that's possible as well. So how about chronic conditions? Is it possible for chronic conditions of the mom to pass on to the baby? Because we have questions from our audience asking is like, let's say if the parent has diabetes or high blood pressure, is it a confirm that my child in future, after they are born, will they be definitely diagnosed with such conditions?
I think at the moment it's shown that these conditions like diabetes, high cholesterol, even allergic conditions, asthma, eczema, there is genetic link sometimes, and the child is at a slightly higher risk of having similar conditions if the parents have it already.
I see. So there is that correlation, but of course, it's something if you manage it well in adulthood, I think it can be prevented. Like both my parents, they have high blood pressure, but I don't have. I mean, thanks to I think regular exercise and a healthy diet. I think partly it's also because in previous times, right? Previously in our parents' generation, perhaps it was challenging for them to have access to have good nutrition, to have a balanced diet. You know, last time there was a lot of misinformation, or there were not enough information about many of all these nutrients, where they can get that from. So that's why it resulted in them having high blood pressure, and in our grandparents' generation even more so. But when it comes to our generation, we are more well informed. We have more access to better nutrients. We have better access to a lot of other food types as well. So it helps to have a healthier diet. So just to give you a brief recap, we were talking about allergies, and like what Dr. shared earlier on, most allergies begin within the first 2 years. Common ones include cow's milk, egg, peanuts, tree nuts, soy, wheat, fish, and shellfish, like you say, but they do outgrow the cow's milk and the egg allergy.
Most of the time, yes.
Most of the time, yes. So peanut and tree nuts are more likely to persist into adulthood. So
Correct.
the question is whether these are genetic, or is it, can they, let's say if my child does not have an allergy now, but is it possible that later on, due to diet, you know, they suddenly become allergic? Is that possible as well?
Yeah, so actually allergies can present at any age.
At any age.
At
So
any
even
age.
as adult, I may suddenly develop an allergy towards something that I didn't used to have my entire life.
Less likely. Most allergies will probably present within childhood, but there are cases where previously, say, someone has been eating seafood without any problems, and then later on, suddenly, they cannot tolerate the same food product. Yeah. As for whether or not the genetic link is there, I think we alluded to it earlier on. It's not very clear yet, but there is probably a bit of genetic linkage, but it's not definitely passed down from parent to child.
How about conditions like eczema, sinus, asthma? Because these are very common children's conditions that I'm sure you see a lot of. So do you always see a correlation? Like, do the parents have it as well?
There's a higher chance of that happening, but there are some lucky children who have very, very allergic parents, but somehow they turn out very well.
Oh,
And yeah,
okay.
I'm very envious of them, because my daughter is quite allergic herself.
So another question that was asked, right? This is an interesting one. Is it possible to prevent allergies during the pregnancy stage at all, or you know, when the child, later on we can answer that question at the end. But for your side, if a child already has an allergy, right, or before the child has an, is it possible to prevent it?
There is some evidence, say for example, in reducing the risk of eczema. When children come from very families with strong family history of allergic conditions like asthma, eczema, allergic rhinitis, even food allergies, that if we take probiotics during, I think, late third trimester of pregnancy as well as breastfeeding or infancy, it can reduce the chances of eczema, but it's also not foolproof.
It's also not. There's no definite foolproof lah.
Correct.
So is it true that, you know, doctors used to think that it was better to delay introducing allergenic foods such as peanut and egg? You know, that was what I learned from my parents. But now it's actually shared among my mummy's group, saying that actually the earlier you introduce it, the better it is.
Correct.
So what's the view on that now?
Correct. So that was the view in the past, where evidence showed that we should delay the introduction of peanuts or egg because they are more allergenic to later childhood. But later on, more evidence came out and showed that actually you should introduce these foods even at the normal weaning time, which is 4 to 6 months old.
Okay, so within 4 to 6 months, once we start weaning, of course we don't immediately start with peanut and egg lah. You start with other food groups first, right?
So things that are recommended will be like iron-rich foods, because about 4 months of age onwards, the iron levels in the babies tend to drop. So iron-fortified cereals will be good. Then try to introduce a new food every 3 to 4 days. Watch out for any allergic reactions, and also remember to bring in these allergenic foods as well.
So is it correct to say that it's not entirely possible to prevent allergies, but it's good to discover them early, and then we can take the necessary actions towards them?
Actually, it's very hard to discover allergies before the reactions actually occur. So there are quite commonly, parents may be worried about introducing foods because they are not sure whether the child will be able to tolerate it. They want allergy tests to be done to see whether it's safe to add this food. But it's actually, you should start the food first. If the reactions occur, then we are suspecting an allergy. That's when we do the allergy testing. Because even if the child is shown to be allergic
sensitized on like a skin prick test or even on a blood allergen level, it does not mean that the child is allergic. Some children actually test positive, but if they are clinically they're able to take the food, we'll say just continue.
So we can't really prevent an allergy. You just have a balanced diet during pregnancy and as balanced a diet that you can give your child as possible. You can't really prevent it until it happens. Then you realize that
Figure it out.
there is an allergy and then you need to manage it.
Correct,
all right?
yeah.
You can't cure an allergy.
We wait for the body to outgrow it for those groups like cow's milk and egg, fingers and toes crossed.
So it's more so it's more of a management and you wait for the child to outgrow it. But okay, but this outgrowing is the tricky part, because when do you know the child will outgrow it? Which means I have to try a few times. Have you outgrown it? Have you outgrown it? Is that how it works or how?
So generally, I would advise to see an allergy specialist, especially if your child is allergic to many food groups or important food groups, especially dairy or egg. And generally, our advice will be that we hold it off for now, and then at regular intervals, maybe 3 to 6 monthly, we will do a test, an allergy test to see whether the child looks to be less allergic, and then we will do an oral food challenge in clinic. But don't try this at home. See a specialist for this purpose.
Yeah, and another tip that I would share with parents that I've learned as well, if you are going to introduce new foods to your child, try to do it in the daytime because that's when the clinics are open. If your child really have an allergic reaction, you can go to the nearest clinic. You don't want to go to A&E in the middle of the night to KK or to any 24 hours. It's going to cost you a bomb. So, please do it during the daytime, and then wait for about 3 days. Try to
3 to 4 days.
3 to 4 days, right? You don't have to don't like it, and then immediately you stop it entirely. Try for about a few times before we go on to the next food group to ensure that is the case. So yes, that is one of the best tips I have. Yeah, that's when the clinics are open. Why would you do anything when the clinics are not open with your kid? Okay, so yes. All right, next thing the parents here on our social media have asked is that regarding the brands of formula milk. All right, so when they are introducing formula milk to the children, sometimes the kid have certain reactions, all right? So constipation is one of those that were commonly seen. So is it a result of the digestion issue in the kid itself, or is it the milk, the formula milk that was fed that led to the constipation or digestive issue? So which is which?
I would say it's quite common to see constipation issues in children with fed with formula milk, but I don't think it's an innate problem in the child. More like formula milk is less easily digested than say breast milk, and different formula milk may have different in how easily digested they are. So some parents actually switch brands and find that the constipation issues get better.
Okay, but formula milk is not cheap. So you have to trial and error a little bit here and there before finding the one. But it's possible that, my child, let's say, for instance, they are receptive towards this brand of formula milk. Then suddenly they just don't like it anymore. Are there different stages for a child are there different formula milks that are like specifically to the different needs of the child during different stages of growth? Like one day, is it because of nutritional needs or is it because of my child just don't like this milk suddenly? Is that possible?
As for the nutritional needs, I think it's important to see like stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 according to the ages of the child because the nutrition needs are different. But as for their preference and acceptance of it, sometimes it's a different taste, a different texture. You can't really predict such things. So there's really no hard and fast rule about this. Sometimes it's really a lot of trial and error.
Trial and error. So parents, we just have to tahan and trial and error. As much as we want to expose our kids to new things, we also have to manage it carefully and sensitively as well, and as much as possible make sure it's in a safe environment for our children. So another things that one of our mummies here have also asked is that when it comes to the management of allergies, all right, it's both on our social media groups as well as on our Facebook Live, prebiotics and probiotics, can they actually help in managing allergies?
That's a very good question. So for those of us who are not so familiar with what probiotics or prebiotics are, maybe I'll just briefly explain. Probiotics are bacteria that is good for our health. Prebiotics are the food that these probiotics feed on. As for whether or not it's helpful for allergies, at the moment there is no good evidence to show that it will help prevent or treat allergies. But that said, for allergic conditions such as reducing eczema, we just talked about it earlier on, then there's some role of probiotics.
So there is no like scientifically backed evidence, but it could help in allergic conditions if we do consume pre and probiotics for our kids. So for babies, either we use the probiotic drops. For mummies, when they are pregnant, later on I will come back to you, Dr. Koo. I believe we also need to have healthy probiotics and prebiotics in our diet, just to whether or not it does prevent the allergy from happening in the kid is another story altogether, but it's good to have, all right? There's no definitive answer, I would think. So another question that one of our mummies online have asked is that, what would you say are some of the key strategies that mummies can take to boost our children's immunity? Because like for many of us who feed breast milk, iron could be absent in breast milk. Vitamin D is also in very limited amounts in breast milk, from what I heard as well. So what would you say are some of the key strategies to make sure that we can boost our baby's immunity?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Given the current pandemic, a lot of parents are very concerned about their immune systems. So as for your question about iron and vitamin D in breast milk, currently the recommendation is that babies, even from birth, should receive vitamin D supplementation because it's difficult to get enough. Especially if they're exclusively breastfed or if they receive more than half of their total milk intake from breast milk, because actually formula milk should have enough vitamin D. Yeah. As for iron, also if it's an exclusively breastfed baby from about 4 months onwards, the iron level it will be insufficient for the baby's needs and should also receive iron supplementation. As for boosting immunity per se, I would say make sure your children are vaccinated and up to date with their immunizations to protect them against dangerous diseases. Make sure they are having a healthy diet, the usual advice, healthy diet, enough sleep, active lifestyle, and whether or not additional supplementation is needed. Actually, if the child is taking otherwise a healthy, balanced diet, there's no real need for additional supplements. But that said, a lot of parents feel better to do something rather than do nothing. And if there's really no real side effect from the additional supplements, I think it's okay to give your child some supplements as well.
But coming back to the question that when I see in our Facebook comments, right, many of them are very concerned about this allergic questions. So at the end of the day, I think from what the doctors have shared is that, you can't really prevent allergies. Pre and probiotics, they are good to have, but whether or not they prevent or they better manage, there is no hard and fast evidence to that. But it is good to have. There is no harm in giving them to your child if it is something that you are comfortable with, and if your child is comfortable with. Of course, like what Dr. Amy has said is that the things that you want to make sure that your child has enough of that's absent in breast milk, if your child is exclusively breastfed, are vitamin D drops as well as iron drops. These are the important ones. Pre and probiotics are good to have for your child for a healthy immune system and a gut system, but they do not, there is no definitive evidence that they prevent allergies at all. All right, there's no definitive evidence. So it's more for a general, overall healthy diet. So mummies will ask, is there anything that can be prevented? No, actually, you cannot really 100% prevent it in any way. I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry to say that. So, okay, let me see. How do we know that the baby is allergic to certain food? So they can see on the allergic reactions, right? What are some of
Yes.
the common allergic reactions that you see in children when they are being brought to you?
Yeah, so some reactions can be more minor, some can be more life-threatening. Minor ones can be, say, rashes, vomiting, tummy pain. Like, say, for cow's milk protein allergy, sometimes they may even have blood in the stools, mucus in the stools. Some children have life-threatening ones like shortness of breath, low blood pressure. They are very unwell.
So when that happens, please bring your child to see the doctor
Definitely, yeah.
immediately, all right, when you do observe. So I think, is there a safe amount when we start introducing new foods to the child? Like a small amount is enough to test for allergy?
Generally, when we start weaning, then we start with, say, like even less than a teaspoon. Let them experiment the taste, and then slowly you graduate up the amount that they can tolerate and they like. Yeah.
Okay, so always start with a small amount so that even if the reaction happen, touch wood, it should not be life-threatening to the extent. Is it possible to have life-threatening even from like a smallest drop of it?
Sometimes it may not happen at the very first time that they introduce the food. It may be the second or even the third, or like what we mentioned. excuse me, that it can even happen much later on. Yeah. So I don't think it's really the amount per se that you should restrict to prevent an allergy, but just go with the flow. And if the child is unfortunately allergic, it will turn up. It will show up.
Okay. Now I'm thinking, okay, so we just have to try and trial and error. So mummies and daddies, there's actually very limited that we can do. All we can do, like what we mentioned earlier, is really to make sure that we introduce the foods at appropriate timings, make sure that it's a safe and healthy environment for the child to grow up in. And if the allergy happens, it happens. You just have to bring them to the nearest clinic to seek medical help. Yep. So we do have a few more questions coming up, but right now we are about halfway through today's stream. So for mummies and daddies who have just joined us, thank you very much. My name is Kelly. Today's live stream session is specially brought to you by Club Apta Advantage and Supermom, and we're going to share with you how to have a healthy pregnancy and happy baby. So for those of you who have been listening intently to us, thank you very much. I hope you have liked and shared this stream, because it's now time for our very first giveaway, whereby we are giving away the Little Wiwa playmat that is worth $150. So make sure you listen carefully to this question. It's an MCQ question, all right? So the answer is either A, B, or C. So just have to key your answer, A, B, or C, inside the comment section, and we will let you know if you are the winner within this live stream. All right, so the first question is, name 3 key ingredients that pregnant moms need for a healthy pregnancy. All right, so first answer, is it A, iron, folic acid, and calcium? Or is it B, vitamins A, C, D, B6, and B12? Or is it C, all of the above? All right, let me repeat my question. Name 3 ingredients that pregnant moms need for a healthy pregnancy. Is the answer A, iron, folic acid, and calcium? Or is the answer B, vitamins A, C, D, B6, and B12? Or is it C, all of the above? All right, so key in your answers right now in the comment section. We'll be picking out the winner very quickly. All right, is it A, B, C, or all of the above? All right, is it A, B, or C, all of the above? All right, I'm giving a very obvious clue. I hope you all get it. Okay, we're giving away the Little Wiwa playmat. So even if you're not chosen this time around, not to worry, because we have 2 more giveaways coming up. In the next 20 minutes or so, we are still giving away the Ninja Foodie multi-food cooker, as well as our final gift will be the Sarah Wells diaper bag. So we have a winner. Congratulations to Kimberly Tan. Kimberly Tan, congratulations. You are the winner of the Little Wiwa playmat. So we'll be dropping you a message in your Facebook Messenger. So make sure you keep a lookout for it. All right. So stay tuned. We have 2 more giveaways coming up. So if you have any questions for our doctors, key them in our comment section as well. We'll be answering as many of them as we can right now. Okay, let me see what other questions that we have. Okay, we'll be moving on to answer some of the questions later on during our Q&A as well that I see we already have. So next question, back to Dr. Khoo, all right? Dr. Khoo, I will trouble you to remove your mask. So during the one, okay, let me answer this question from one of our mummies to be as well. You mentioned that the husband, all right, has a G6PD. Kimberly asked, in fact, her husband has G6PD. Should she be careful in her diet, as she's currently pregnant?
No, not necessary. It doesn't really affect them too much. It's actually post-delivery that we need to check the baby's G6PD status. Then subsequently, you may need to alter your diets accordingly if necessary.
If necessary. So just make sure you go for that follow-up.
That's right.
After your delivery, your doctor will probably give you
the pediatrician will advise whether the baby is G6PD allergic, deficiency.
Okay, but it will not be caused
It will not be caused by genetic. No,
Yeah,
it's not caused by your diet during the pregnancy. No. No.
Okay, that's assuring to know. All right, so it's either they have or don't have. There's nothing you can really do or not do about it.
Yes, that's right.
So, okay, the next question is about stress. Okay, during pregnancy, especially the last trimester, and especially postpartum as well. For myself, right, I was actually increasingly becoming really worried towards the last few months, because I think it's that nesting effect. You realize that the house is a mess. Why is the baby cot not ready? Where is she going to sleep? Is she going to sleep well? Where am I going to sleep? What are the sleep arrangements? Is the confinement nanny going to come? Where is she going to sleep? Do we have enough room for all the baby clothes? What else does the baby need? Oh my goodness. Then after the baby comes home, I remember that first night was just traumatic. It was a mess. So all this stress, right? How does it play a part during pregnancy? And also, Dr. Kuan asked, for postpartum stress, how does it affect the mom and the baby?
Well, generally, Singapore is quite a stressful society. We're very competitive. Every mom wants the best for their child in their pregnancy. So it's not surprising that because of work too, we have very high working moms population in Singapore, that everybody feels a general small amount of stress. Maybe more in some perceived way, but overwhelming in some moms. Generally, when it's too much, right, it may affect them in their daily care for themselves. They may not sleep well, they may not eat well, and they may feel a little bit antepartum anxiety and depression. And for those mummies, right, they might end up transferring it a little bit in the sense that the baby do not grow too well. The baby tends to be smaller in birth weight, leading to something called intrauterine growth retardation. So IUGR, smaller babies, may be a side effect of what you call a very stressful mom. It can be easily settled. You just need a lot of supportive care, a good identification of such cases by the gynae who is fairly close to them each month of follow-up. So see the issues and learn to help them manage it better. Postnatally, it will be a very significant moment if, let's say, the moms go into a moment of depression or some sort of blues. It's very common to have blues. 50% of moms end up with blues. And not surprisingly, some of them will tear a little bit. But if you start to have very constant tearing and unable to sleep and unable to care for your child, or maybe even cause some self-harm to the child, then that's the time when we should be very careful and help the mom stay away from this very stressful moment. Maybe simply caring for the child will be very, very difficult for them. They need actually a confinement nanny or a very supportive husband or some family members coming in to step in to help with the care of the child.
So that is definitely something that, that's why you say it takes a village to raise a child. It really does take. It's not just, the mom's sole responsibility, especially postpartum. Moms are usually very tired.
That's right.
Because we did go through a very traumatic, not very traumatic, but it is a huge physical change for our body, in the last delivery hours. And to be able to be physically capable to take care of a baby right after is extremely challenging for any mother to do so alone. So please, husbands and family members, please do be supportive of the parents so that we can be as stress-free. No, I cannot say stress-free because it's impossible to be stress-free. We can be as not stressful as possible so that there's some me time here and there as well. So I have another question here from Sheila. Sheila asks, is it possible to prevent, gestational diabetes? Is it possible to prevent, and what can we do to prevent it?
This is one of my favorite topics because if you were to go through a routine checkups, by the time you are at your 24th week or 28th week, your obstetrician will arrange for a gestational diabetes test. That's when you invite either to the clinic, hungry and fasted, and given either an orange or lime drink to drink, and subsequently taken 3 blood samples. And this lead up to this visit, right, for my own practice, 1 month ahead, I'll tell my moms to avoid the 5 not to go to foods. Number 1, avoid fast food. Number 2, avoid very sweet stuff like ice cream. Number 3, chocolates, desserts. Number 4, Singapore's favorite, bubble tea. And number 5, less fruits. And maybe in this season now, durian season, be careful with durians. Because after about seeing close to 7,000 deliveries, I would think that usually when the mummies who fail, I would look back in life and challenge them and look at what they really ate wrong. And they usually identify these 5 big groups. And particularly the fact that if you, let's say your mom, your parents, your dad has got diabetes, when you're prone to it, right, you just have to be very careful that during your own pregnancy, you have already tendency by genetic factors to be prone towards GD, that you should always just take care of your diet throughout the pregnancy so as to avoid it. Because there are some issues with gestational diabetics. They have bigger babies, may have some birth injuries, and subsequently post-delivery, the baby may not do so well. So taking care of gestational diabetes has now become a very significant pregnancy care topic. And I think Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong has always advertised to it since 2017. It's something war on diabetes. For me, it's care for gestational diabetics that's very important.
I think, even if you're not pregnant, as a regular person, right, please just eat healthy as much as possible. I'm not saying that you cannot eat anything that you like. You cannot 0 ice cream, 0 fast food. Not possible. 0 bubble tea, how can, right? Cannot, right? So just keep them to a
very
healthy,
moderation.
very moderate
I would feel that just to lead up to a test, be very mindful of it. Because you don't want to fail your diabetes test and subsequent rest of pregnancy be miserable. You have to watch your diet very carefully every day, and every few days you got to prick your finger several times just to check your glucose levels after a meal. It's very tiring and painful.
Yeah, so please, we just cut down on the bubble tea, cut down on the ice cream and fast food. So
that is the question that is to Dr. Koo. All right, we're going to move on to Dr. Amy now. All right, so I have to trouble you to put back your mask, Dr. Koo. So the next few questions, okay. I will answer those that is on the Facebook comments as well. I see quite a number regarding eczema, regarding phlegm as well. But I'm going to address that in a few moments. I'm just going to see if, okay, last 1 or 2 questions already because the time now is we have about 10 minutes left only. All right, so Dr. Amy actually has expertise in pediatric sleep, all right, including sleep issues in newborns all the way to adolescents. And when babies don't sleep, mummies don't sleep. And when mummies don't sleep, mummies get very stressed and upset. All right, so Dr. Amy, can you share with us what are some of the common reasons why many parents, like myself, struggle with getting our babies to sleep, and what can we do about that?
That's a very good question. I'm very passionate about getting enough sleep for all. So it's very common for young children to have bedtime problems or even night wakes, especially if they haven't learned to self-soothe themselves to sleep yet. And there's something called negative sleep onset associations, basically bad sleep associations, where the child is used to being either carried, petted, rocked, or fed with the breast, fed with the bottle to sleep. And without these conditions, the child cannot fall asleep. And when they wake up in the night naturally, they also cannot put themselves back to sleep. That's one of the most common reasons. And the other question you asked, what can we do about it?
Yeah, what can we do about it?
Well, that's like a one lecture by itself. But basically, I will summarize. There are things, the basics that you can do to help improve your child's sleep as well as your own sleep. Firstly, make sure that you have a conducive bedroom environment for your child. It should be dark enough, cooling enough, quiet, and you can also use white noise to help drown out surrounding sounds, especially if you have other children in the house. Second, bedtime routine is very good to have. So for example, you can bathe your child, read a book, sing a song, and then put your child to sleep. The idea is for it to be calming and predictable, so your child expects that it's time to sleep right after that. The other thing you can do is cultivate good sleep onset associations. So for example, from 3 months onwards, you can try putting your child to sleep drowsy but awake. So the child associates falling asleep with being in the cot by himself, rather than being in your arms or with the breast or the bottle.
That is at about 3 months.
3 months onwards.
So usually 3 months, are they already able to self-soothe, or can we tell that they can self-soothe? But like you mentioned, put them in the cot or in their bed area when they are drowsy, but not yet asleep.
Correct.
So we are expecting them to be able to self-soothe to sleep in that drowsiness, right?
Correct.
So how do we know whether they can self-soothe?
Yeah, so biologically, the brain matures and the way the sleep pattern changes about 3 to 4 months onwards, the baby sleep cycles will be less of a newborn type of sleep pattern and become more of like an older child as well as an adult sleep pattern. And that's when they can start learning the skills of self-soothing. I would say the first 2 months, two plus months is really sleep survival. You do whatever it takes to put your child to sleep. Okay.
So first 2 months, we don't try sleep training.
Yeah, you won't spoil your child by carrying your newborn to sleep. Your newborn is not ready to fall asleep by herself.
By herself or himself, yes.
Correct, yeah. But from 3 months onwards, the brain is starting to mature, and then that's when you can start building good sleep habits for your child. Okay.
So 3 months to start building all these good, I mean, of course, if you can start earlier, the better it is. But 3 months is when the latest that you should start.
So you can start like bedroom environment, bedtime routine even earlier, but say drowsy but awake, I would say the child is probably not yet ready until about 3 months onwards. So you may not want to put your baby or yourself through the torture so early on. But generally, the other thing that can help is say like a pacifier. You can introduce that when breastfeeding has been established already, or you can introduce a lovey toy by about 1 year old. Okay, and also sleep schedules are very helpful. Having consistent sleep and wake times help a child to sleep better also. And if really all else fails, then there are many strategies that can be done to help your child to learn to self-soothe. The sleep trainings sometimes may have a bad reputation, yeah, but there's actually there's a spectrum of sleep training methods, from the more gentle ones to the less gentle ones, and you can discuss with your doctor about them. Depending on your child's age, temperament, and how sensitive you are to your child's crying, you can choose a method that will suit your family best.
Okay, but let's say if I have sleep trained my child for now, all right, for instance, yeah, is it possible that suddenly he goes through another sleep regression and suddenly it doesn't work anymore. So does it mean that I have to restart the sleep training all over again and try another method? Is that possible, doctor?
That's a very good question. So, sleep regressions are to be expected. Say if the child falls sick, you go traveling, now we cannot travel. But you go staycation.
Oh, you go on a cruise. Okay, you go on a cruise, you can, right?
Yeah. Or you have a newborn baby or the child goes to childcare. These disturbances can cause sleep regressions, but your child has already learned the skill to self-soothe. So the advice will be to be consistent with whatever you are already doing. Make sure if your child fusses, say in the night or at bedtime, leave him for a few minutes, settle down. Yeah. It depends on how sensitive you are to the crying as well. But I would say be consistent and this too shall pass. Your child has already learned to cycle. You put the bicycle away for 6 months. After that, a bit rocky, a bit unstable, but he will be okay after a while.
Okay, spoken like a true blue expert. Mom of two. One older child is
4 years old, 17 months old. Had to sleep train both. Yeah.
not easy. Okay, the other questions I have here is about this is quite a common question because about phlegm, all right? This mummy has asked, does formula milk cause phlegm in the child? Is it possible? And should they just switch formula milk? But I mean, I'm thinking, it'd be best to see a doctor to diagnose the reason of it. But can formula milk actually cause phlegm?
So sometimes different formulas have different textures, and then there's this sensation that they cannot swallow their saliva as smoothly, and that's the perception where there is some phlegm with different brands of formula. Of course, that's taken into account that your child is not sick, doesn't have a fever, cough, runny nose, and things like that. So do check with your doctor, make sure your child isn't sick. But sometimes different formulas can cause this kind of a sensation.
Oh, that's possible.
It's possible.
As well. So, but can a change in formula milk or switch, from breast milk to formula milk also result in eczema or skin conditions? Because, skin conditions among babies is very common. I see quite a number of questions from our mummies, on our babies having eczema, baby is scratching all the time. So, they've tried, creams and gels and seen the doctor several times, but they just cannot solve it at the root cause. So, what can they do about such situations?
My heart goes out to you. My child also has eczema. It's not very clear cut. Sometimes food allergies can worsen eczema if your child already has eczema, but it doesn't mean that all eczema is because of food allergies. So if you are not sure, do talk to your doctor. Allergy tests can be done to find out whether or not there's any food allergies at all. I would say don't cut out food from your child's diet before formal testing because you might be depriving your child of important nutrients.
Okay. So I think that's about the time. Okay, one last question. Okay. Anything that can be done to improve the environment, or how do we assist for children with very sensitive airways, like always having a mucus stuck, phlegm, or babies having a lot of reflux? What can parents do, in terms of environment wise? Would having a air purifier help at all, or diet can a diet help in desensitizing the airways?
That's a very big question. Simply put, some allergies can also worsen sensitive airways like house dust mite allergies. So if you suspect your child might be having that, you can get your child tested as well. If there's also house dust mite avoidance measures that you can do, say you can wash your linen in hot water 60 degrees at least once a week.
60 degrees
60
at least once a week for babies, the cot, the tilam. Okay, you cannot wash the tilam. You can wash the cover, whatever contact fabrics that the child is in contact with.
Correct.
If they are washable, 60 degrees once a week at least. Okay,
Yeah.
what else?
And also, say if your child has a soft toy, minimize the number of soft toys if your child is house dust mite allergic. But if say your child cannot part with the soft toy, then one way is if it's washable, also wash it in 60 degrees at least once a week. The other way is to freeze it so you kill off all the dust mites. You put it in a vacuum, a Ziploc bag, and then you freeze it overnight.
Oh, freeze it overnight.
Freeze it overnight.
Oh, wow.
Freeze it overnight to
that's
kill
new.
off the dust mites, preferably to still wash it with hot water after that.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. Then
That
you
is
say
something
good
new.
night to your soft toy. Tell your child say good night for going
And then
for
you go into incubation.
fridge
I'm
for a
gonna
while.
freeze your soft toy.
So
You
there are house dust mite avoidance measures.
Oh
Yeah.
wow, that's something that new that I've learned as well. So before we close off, we still have the giveaway coming up. But for those of you who are feeding your children formula milk, just a quick advice on some tips to look out for when selecting formula milk. Please keep a lookout for the country of the origin. Make sure it is a country with safe quality standards as well. Other than that, please also you want to look out for the level of DHA within the formula milk. Also, whether it contains prebiotics that help to support your child's natural defenses, and of course, whether is it value for money. All right, there's a wide variety of formula brands, formula milk brands out there, and I just want to check with Dr. Amy one last time. You mentioned that actually most milk formulas they are roughly the same. They all do provide the basic level of nutrients to all children. So is there really a difference? Are all formula milk make equal?
That's a very sensitive question on this platform. I would say generally for all healthy term infants, any formula milk is suitable. There is a lot of money, a lot of research going into different formula development. So I cannot comment on which brand is better and things like that. But I would say generally any term formula, appropriate stage formula is good. And once the child turns 1 year old, actually you can also consider using UHT milk or fresh milk. It's a bit easier on the pockets. Yeah, formula milk can be quite expensive.
Yes, so it's on it's like you mentioned, there's no bad formula milk out there. If not, they have been out of business. It's just a matter of is it suitable for your baby for that certain stage. Your baby might react well to the milk now, but maybe after a while, hey, I don't like the taste of this milk anymore. Because as you slowly introduce your child to new foods as well, the taste or the preferences of your child will change along the way. So it's just like for us adults, maybe you used to like nasi lemak a lot. Then after that, you have something better, I just gradually prefer chicken rice over nasi lemak. That's also a possibility. Possible, right?
Possible.
All right, okay. Time for our final giveaway. All right, I hope all of you have been listening very intently. I see that many of you are saying thank you on our Facebook platform. Thank you all so much for your kind attention. So we're going to go for our final round of giveaway. All right, so last 2 questions, okay? Also MCQ. This is a very simple question. Question number 2, we are giving away our Sarah Wells diaper bag that is worth $150. For question 2, is the answer A or B? The question is, what is the role of prebiotics and probiotics in our diet? Is it A, probiotics is good bacteria, while prebiotics is the food for good bacteria supporting our child's natural defenses? Or is it B, to improve sleep quality? So what is the role of prebiotic and probiotics in our diet? Is it to support our child's natural defenses? That is A. Or is it B, to improve sleep quality? Please key in your answers right now in the comment section. Make sure you've already liked and share our Facebook stream as well, yeah, so that we can pick a winner. Let's see if we have the winner. Oh, besides that, oh yes, some of you asked about the QR code as well. For Supermom, right, we are also giving away this special freebie bag for our mummies to be, as well as those of you with toddlers up to 2 years old. Right, you can see on your screen right now. Is it coming up right now for our QR code? Yes, we have a QR code coming in right now. Do scan it, register yourself on it, and we will be delivering you a bag of goodies for yourself, whether you are a mummy to be or whether you have a toddler up to 2 years old. All right, so scan the QR code even if you didn't win anything from our giveaway. All right, so let's see. Most of you have gotten the answer correct. Of course, it is for our child's natural defenses. So congratulations to, this is my friend actually. Hi Linda Sin, congrats to you. All right, okay, this is entirely for the crew to choose. All right, I have no idea. Thank you to Linda for supporting us. You have won for yourself the diaper bag. Congrats. Hi. Thank you so much. It means that you have paid attention to my Facebook also, that when I share this thing. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Last question. This is where we are giving away the Ninja Foodie multi-cooker worth $400. This is the question. All right. So it's also MCQ, either A, B, or C. Pay attention. Okay. Name one key strategy that parents like yourself can take to boost your child's immunity. Is the answer A, stay at home all day? B, include pre and probiotics into your baby's diet? Or C, avoiding exercise? All right, is the answer A, stay at home all day? B, include prebiotics and probiotics into your baby's diet? Or is it C, to avoid exercising? All right, which of these is what you can do to boost your child immunity? Key in your answer right now and we'll be choosing a lucky winner. So if you're a winner, please make sure that you keep a lookout for your Facebook Messenger. Yeah, you should be able to receive a message from our admin very soon. All right. For the rest of you, make sure you scan the QR code. It should be shown in a short moment to redeem the freebies that we have for all of you to bring back as well. So for those of you, if you missed, we're coming to the end of our live stream already. Our admin is choosing a winner right now. But in the meantime, thank you very much, Dr. Koo and Dr. Amy, for taking time to join us. I hope all of you have a good sleep tonight. I think you might have to deliver another baby later on, right? Yes, you probably have to go back to the hospital to deliver another baby later on. And thank you all our parents for joining us in this special live stream session brought to you by Supermom as well as Aptamil Advantage. Please remember to follow and like us on our Facebook page as well as on our Instagram. All right, you can find us on Instagram at WeLoveSupermom. So before we go, congratulations to the winner of our last giveaway. Congrats to Andrea Judy. Hi, Andrea. Congratulations. Yes, that's a very lovely profile picture she has there of herself and her husband, I see. Yes. All right, congrats to you, Andrea Judy. You are the winner of the multi-cooker. Please keep a lookout for your messenger inbox to be letting you know. For the rest of you, there is still the QR code on your screen. All right, please make sure you scan it as well. Please do scan it because that will allow you to get for yourself or you and your baby some freebies, whether you are a mom-to-be or whether you have a toddler up to 2 years old. All right, so once again, thank you to our doctors. Thank you to Supermom as well as Apta Advantage, Baby and Mom Club. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Kelly. Till next time, we'll see you on Supermom Facebook Live. My name is Kelly, wishing you a good evening. Take care and stay safe. Sleep well tonight. Bye-bye.